Brady Robison of the Life Today TV here in St. Louis at the ICRS conference. And I am talking to an entrepreneur who can tell you what to do, what not to do. He's the author of Do Great Things. Aaron Broyles is here. Aaron, thank you for being here.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you, Randy.
Appreciate you coming here.
Yeah.
Now, tell me what makes you an entrepreneur? What have you done that qualifies you?
Well, I've started several businesses. I'm sort of a serial entrepreneur. My wife calls me a chronic entrepreneur. I love to start new things. We've had some technology companies, software development. We've got a short line railroad. We've owned auto wholesaler dealerships, fitness centers.
That's more than anybody can handle. What do? Do you spin them off?
Usually, yes. Yeah. I've sold several, so we've went through several startups. The current business I'm in today is a short line railroad, and we're still very in the thick of things right now with that business. So, yeah, it's hard, but we hire good people, good managers once we get it off the ground and sort of get it into a operation mode.
How did you get to a position to be able to do that? Because I mean, that's not easy. It's easier to take a job for somebody else and show up 8 to 5 every day.
It is. I did that for the longest time, and then I had this desire to start something from scratch. And so we did it first with a technology company, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I sort of get to a point where I'm bored. I sort of have ADD,
yeah.
And I'm just ready for something new. So it's been a lot of fun. I enjoy the startup piece of it. So,
but you learned how to end it, and that's critical too.
It is, and sometimes that's the most difficult part, is going through that process. So,
now, tell me about the book Do Great Things, where you're looking at other people and yourself,
yes,
and giving some advice. Give me a little overview.
Sure, absolutely. Before I ever started my first business, I spent almost 10 years just reading and researching the great entrepreneurs of America over the last 200 plus years. And I made some interesting discoveries because I found that regardless of the background, level of education, some people born into extreme poverty, others into incredible wealth, it didn't matter the circumstances. These great entrepreneurs would become successful, would build businesses out of absolutely nothing. Thomas Edison had 3 months of formal education, didn't make it out of 8th grade, really? And goes on to be an incredible inventor, incredible entrepreneur. And so I started to realize there are habits or attributes that they continue to exhibit over and over again to be successful. And then I realized that those attributes can be applied in your personal life. So one example, the ability to see opportunity others don't see, right? Howard Schultz saw it with Starbucks and recognized that people will pay $5 for an espresso milk-based coffee in a cafe.
Go figure, but I did it this morning.
Go figure, I did as well. Mm-hmm. But he saw that opportunity that virtually everyone else completely missed. But I realized that in the same way, we can see opportunities in our personal life. So I started to ask the question, what if I could see opportunities in my children that even their teachers don't see? And then I could encourage those gifts, those abilities. What if I could see opportunities in my spouse that no one else has seen, and I could encourage those gifts and abilities? So I recognized that these attributes have incredible application in one's personal life.
How many of these attributes you identify that lead to success in business and in your personal life are right out of Scripture?
Almost every one of them. I mean, they're all based in biblical principles, every single one of them. It's absolutely amazing when you find, and again, you can learn a technique and put it to practice for a period of time, but if it's not in an authentic way, it falls short. It ultimately falls short. And you see that a lot. I could mention several great entrepreneurs who went on to be quite successful, and at the end of their lives were completely miserable and not happy. And so it needs to be based in a biblical framework. And so when we're acting and behaving the way God created us to, and we're living out the life that He called us to, it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, no doubt there's no shortage of successful people who are successful in business who are miserable.
Yes. Absolutely.
So,
yeah. You know, there was an interview just recently, probably within the last couple years, of the New England quarterback. And, you know, here's a guy who has 3 Super Bowl rings, multiple MVPs. Yep. Just absolutely incredible. Everything you could ever want. Millions of dollars.
Yes,
He's driving Ferraris. And he reveals in this interview that this can't be all there is.
Really?
There has to be more. And he starts to ask that
Everybody
question.
Pray for Tom Brady right now.
Yeah,
Truly.
Absolutely amazing. And so he sort of revealed that. But you know, here's the thing. Most people never get to that pinnacle. And so we live in this game where we fool ourselves into thinking it's just the next thing.
If I could just get there.
That's exactly right. If I could just make it to the next promotion, if I could just get the other car in the garage, if I could marry, if I could have children, I mean, whatever it is, we fool ourselves into this game of always thinking it's the next thing that'll fulfill us.
Yeah, you're right.
So, and often it takes someone like a Tom Brady to make it all the way.
Did you ever do that?
No. I mean, I've never gotten to that point where I've said, I've achieved everything I could possibly achieve. I've sort of been the person who realized I was in the trap of thinking.
But you're not looking for your fulfillment in that.
No, absolutely. Now, for a long time I did.
Did you?
Absolutely.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a long time, when I was an employee in a job, I found my self-worth from that position. And if I were successful there, I felt like I had self-worth. And that, for a long time, that's why I wouldn't start a business. I was too afraid to step out. Because if it failed, well, then it's on me. Yeah, and so that really held me back until I broke that trend and realized.
Is that where the Cortez story comes into play?
Yes, it does. Yeah, and that's a fun story.
Share it.
Well, Cortez, the great conqueror, he was sailing with almost 500 sailors. They were going to take the Yucatan Peninsula. This was hundreds of years ago. And they were just about ready to take a fortified city that had not been conquered in over 500 years. And so the night before they're ready to take it, they land on shore. He has his men. They're about ready. 11 ships, all right off the shore. And I'm sure incredible fear has taken over, because they're in a position where they're going to do something that hasn't been done in, 5 centuries. Yeah. And so he calls his men to do one last thing. And this is sort of that point where you lay out the game plan. We're going to go here, we're going to scale these walls, we're going to meet here. He kind of lays out the battle plan. And then he gives them the order to burn the ships. And so what he essentially does is he tells his men, we're going to burn our only way out of here. Yeah. And what amazes me is that they did it. Yeah. They actually burnt the ships. But something happens when you've let go of the safety net and you realize that I am now in, I am all in. It changes your paradigm.
I think the Bible talks about putting your hand to the plow.
Yeah.
Not turning back. You don't start, you don't finish the job if you quit halfway.
That's exactly right.
Same thing.
And same thing when Christ called the disciples. He told them, there's plenty, many of them were called and they said, well, I've got things to do. I have to, bury my father. I have to do this or I have to do that. Yeah. And Jesus called them to take action and to step out, to burn the ships.
Do it now.
Yeah.
Now, it's not for everybody to just go off half-cocked willy-nilly, right?
Right.
You gotta have some kind of relationship with the Lord to know when is the right time to step out, because there isn't any set formula.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part about it. Is you got to have the relationship to know when is the right time.
That's a great point. In the book I make the point, Joseph in the Bible, he was sold into slavery by his brothers. And he came to a point where he was running all of Egypt. I mean, he essentially saved his own family and all of the Egyptians by interpreting Pharaoh's dream. And he recognized a famine was coming. Now, did Joseph recognize that because he was a brilliant meteorologist and recognized the patterns in weather? Yeah. He was so connected to God, and God revealed it to him, and that's how he knew. Yeah. And so you make an incredible point. We need to be in a very intimate relationship with the Lord in daily prayer, in the Word, and it's in those things that He's able to speak to our hearts and give us that wisdom and discernment. Yep. That's critical, not just in business, but in everything that we do.
That's true. That's true. And when you're ready to step out and do great things, you got Aaron's book right here, and you can step out and do them now in your personal life at least. He applies them to the family, and it's just great principles to apply across your life. And with some sensitivity to the Lord, know when to do what. So, Aaron, we appreciate you sharing, appreciate you putting these things down, and wish you all the luck with your railroad and whatever else God draws you into.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.